All right, we're going to get started. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have an international audience today, so thank you for joining us. And today we're going to be reviewing new features and functionality within Mothernode CRM that were in the last release, part of the last release, that are really going to change the way that you work within your organization, as well as work with your customers, a brand new customer experience that we're excited to show you. Some people have already started using this feature, but for those of you who are new to this, welcome. We're excited to show this to you. All right, a few things. This is going to be a very detailed approach towards showing you some of these features. And the consideration at this point is that our audience is familiar with Mothernode. They use it in their business on a day-to-day basis. So as we talk about certain items, this is not for people who are seeing this for the first time, although you can appreciate what you'll be seeing, but we'll be making the assumptions that you know how to create an order, you're using different production documents, or you know what construction details are, and so on and so forth. For the sake of time, we are going to proceed and try and wrap this up. This is scheduled for 30 minutes. This is being recorded, and so it will be available for download later on, most likely on our YouTube channel. If we have time to take questions, we'll take a few. I'm going to be your host for this. This is Ken Pearson, and I am being joined with Andy Levine, who will be helping facilitate some of the questions should we get to that point where we can take questions. So if we go into overtime, and you do have questions, then I would probably be ending the call and allowing you to submit those questions via email. On the screen, you can see info@mothernode.com. So we may not get a chance to get to questions for all of them, but in the case that you do have some after that, there is the email address that you can email us and we will respond accordingly. All right, so here's a quick overview of this. We have a variety of different industries that are on the phone right now watching this call. And so if you're in manufacturing or construction, or you do design work, perhaps marketing agencies, anybody who is sending off something that is visual, an artwork approval process, design approval process, this is going to be an ideal solution for you. And of course, this is all optional. It's something that's now available to you within your program. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but you'll see that it probably will make a significant change in your workflow as you go forward. So a couple of things to take in consideration: that if you focus on artwork approval, or you have product designs which are requiring approval from a customer or a third party, any technical specifications that you need to be sharing, again, anything that's usually transmitted in a PDF format or design format electronically, these can be layouts and plans. Also, any construction details. So it could be area specific as well as product specific. So you'll be able to use that. You already know what it is that you do within your own respective businesses. And so you'll be able to see how this can be applied. This is available in two different areas. Now, it is available in all Mothernode subscriptions, but only enterprise subscriptions have the orders. So if you don't have the enterprise edition, you still have this available in quotes. Where you want to use it is entirely up to you, and you may find yourself using it in two different areas. So in the quotes, it can be part of your sales process where you're giving information to a customer to approve. Of course, this helps you close business. The more kind of information you can be sharing with them up front shows a commitment to the customer's interest, so that's important. Also, if you're going to be doing this in orders, let's just say that there's changes that are made along the way, or once the customer has made a commitment to you, then you're going to go ahead and work on the plans and the schematics and send whatever they need to approve electronically. So they're available in both. Now, I am going to be doing this in the orders regardless, because there is some additional functionality that's available in orders that is not available in quotes. It's not a big deal, but at the same time, it's workflow dependent, that there's certain things that are going to be happening in the orders themselves. All right, so what we're going to be looking at here is we're going to be talking about the files that you're going to be uploading, and you can upload graphic files as well as PDF files, okay? So PDF files come with a set of different capabilities that you may or may not want to use with your customers. That's perfectly fine, but you can use JPEGs, PNGs, and GIFs to upload as well, okay? So those are the two that we're going to be focusing on. I'm going to show you the difference between the two. Creating the jobs for approval is going to be extremely easy. And then sending those jobs electronically for your customer to approve is going to be even easier, okay? So that's very, very nice. Then we're going to look at the client process, okay? What the client can actually see. And so this is going to be the UI experience. So understanding what's in front of them for them to see. So the more you get familiar with this, and I would say that for those who are new to this, you should consider using this internally to practice just so you can understand what the client experience is like, okay? So if you have a graphics team that has to send something to a project management team for review, if you want to do that internally, this experience would be healthy for you to get an understanding of what the client actually experiences, okay? So something you can do. There's also some things you can see on the back end as well that you can also see the client experience without having to log in as the client, but from the total ecosystem would be healthy. All right, we're going to look at reviewing single page documents as well as multiple page documents. And then again, we'll see the difference of what that looks like when you're using a PDF versus a regular graphic file. And then we'll talk about the actions that you can take, either approving something, declining something, or commenting on something. All right, and then finally, what we're going to look over here is the completion process, the notifications that you get, the construction details that now can be added to the order for fabrication or production, and then ultimately the audit report, which is the last document that gets submitted to everybody when the process has been completed, okay? So this is the decisions that were made throughout the entire document that we'll see in the audit report. So let's get started, okay? We're gonna get right into this. All right, so the only challenge I'm going to share with you today is that I'm playing the role of two people. I'm playing the role of the customer, and I'm also playing the role of the Mothernode user, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by looking at a couple of orders that I've already created, okay? So again, like I said, I'm doing this in the actual order process here. And I'm going to start with this one over here, where I have, just for the sake of seeing what I have for my order entry, I have 4 line items that are here, okay? Different products that are being sold. The quantities, everything here is just irrelevant, okay? I just want to show you that I have line items in this order, okay, and what they are. So cost, quantities, everything is really irrelevant. We're going to be talking about getting these approved. So I'm going to look over here at the Files tab. So let's get our bearings here. For some people, they're not using the Files tab. Other people are, and they're very familiar with it, but there's been some minor adjustments that have been made here. First of all, there's the traditional upload, okay? So over here, we can see that I have the traditional upload for my files. And then now we have a new option that basically says create job for approval, okay? So this is where I want to be to create the submittal job for approval, but I want to let you know in advance that I can either upload files going over here, or I can upload files or use one of my previously upload files over here. So there's been some changes that have been made here, subtle changes, but important ones nonetheless. So over here, if I click on upload as an example, I can give it a file description as I always could before. Okay, these are your choice lists. So if you don't have something in here, you can add submittals to your value list, which is something that I've done. So I can add this as submittals as an example. And the 2 new items that have been added here are going to be line item number and also file for approval. Let me tell you what they both do. First of all, I can now attach one of these documents, one or more of these documents, to a specific line item, okay? So where that could even be useful, not in the submittal process, but if you want to have pricing for outsourced product or outsourced services, you can actually attach the pricing sheet to that specific product, that specific line item, okay? In this case, I'm focused on design, where I would be attaching one of my drawings to one of these line items, okay? Now, the other thing I have here is for approval or not. Okay, so let's discuss the difference. If I have a pricing worksheet that I've got from a vendor, I'm outsourcing something, et cetera, or I have schematics, plans, site surveys, whatever that may be, they may not be applicable to line items, but it has to go with the job. That is not for approval, okay? So if I want to make it for approval, then I change it to yes, and of course, now I'm going to upload the file. For the sake of time, I've already done this, and I want to show you what they both look like in the list. So I'm going to close this. So now you can see I have two files. If I had selected for approval, then the for approval appears here. If it's just a document that's not for approval, then it doesn't have anything here and it's just been uploaded, okay? At any time, if I want to edit one of these and then make it for approval, then of course I can do that, okay? So those are the options that it comes to when I'm uploading these here. Now, what this means of the for approval or not is when I create a job, only one item is showing up here, the one that said for approval. If I wanted both of them for approval, then I would definitely have to have both of them here, okay? So I would want to tag the other one for approval. Now, here's the other place that you can upload some documents, okay? So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to, a hint for you, and a couple of hints for you actually, is first of all, you want to start with uploading the document. So by doing that, then what you can do is you can choose the document for upload. Okay, so I'm going to choose some samples that I have here. All right, I'll choose this one and I'll click open. And the reason why I start with this one is because while it's uploading, then I can add some additional items. Okay, so I'm going to say wall graphic. Okay, we'll just call this that. And then I'm going to give it a category, submittals. And if I want, I'm going to attach it to a line item number. So I will, in this case, I'll attach it to line item 4. Okay. And then, yes, it's for approval. All right. The other thing I want you to be aware of is that I have reduced the files using Adobe Acrobat. So if you're using Acrobat or you're using Adobe Illustrator or any graphic files program to produce the PDF, you want to consider reducing the file size the best that you can to maintain quality, but at least give you better performance. The reason for that is not only the upload time, but the rendering time when the customer reviews the product. If it's going to be a 100 meg file, they'll be waiting a second or so, depending on how long it takes for that file to totally render. You'll see what I mean when we get into that. So as best practice anyways, even if you're emailing these already, then you probably are reducing the file size to begin with. So that's something you should consider. All right, so I have this here. I'm going to save this. And now you can see in my list, I actually have the two drawings here. So this has been assigned to sign type 2, and this has been assigned to sign type 4 in my list, line item 4, line item 2, okay, in this case. Now I can go on, of course, but right now what I want to do is I want to start with the ability to do single page applications. Then we'll complete this cycle with a multi-page job. Okay. So here's what I want to do is I want to leave the customer a note. Okay. Once approved, we will start the work. Okay. So you want to put some pressure on them, realize that nothing's starting until they go ahead and they approve these. All right. All right, now what I want to do is I want to select the jobs that I want for approval. So that means that you can have multiple jobs, multiple submittal package for any order. Okay, you can do one per line item if you want. It doesn't make a difference. But if you want to get them all done at once, then you can just select all and you say create job for approval. Okay, now we've created the job. So what does that mean? All right, so over here, okay, this is the link that I can actually be sending to the customer. And I'm not going to do it this way. I actually want to click this down here, okay, where I'm going to go email for approval. Okay, we'll do that in just a moment. If you want to see what you have over here, you can preview this. And then some other vital information has been nothing's been approved, nothing's been declined, there's been zero activity on this. So if you come back to this job later on, which I'll show you quickly how to do that. So you can do that here. And then you can click on the job for approval here. It says pending. Okay, so I can open that back up. And then I can see that there's no stats on this. Okay, so I can get everything I need here. Nothing's been viewed and nothing's been downloaded. So if you're sending quotes electronically as an example, it's got some of the similar features and functions that you would see there. Okay, so it has all of this here. All right, good. So we're happy. If you want to change the message, you can. And again, activity for these will be down below. You'll be able to see this here along the way. We're going to come back to the screen as things progress. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm not going to preview this for the sake of time. I'm actually going to take you through the customer experience system. We'll preview this again later on, okay? So I'm going to email this to my customer. And what I'm going to do is I've built a template. So if you're using email templates, then you can go ahead and you can build a template. You can insert this information over here. And so, of course, now this is your opportunity to give them direction and instructions. So in your email templates, once you're comfortable with this process, you want to let them know this is what they have to do. And these are what the next steps will be once we receive your approved artwork. Okay, so you'll have that there. Now, note down here, it's worth mentioning, you can attach files to the email. These are not for approval, okay? This is a simple file attachment to the email. So if there's instructions that were part of the template here that you want to give people access to, you can tie that to that as an instruction if you want to. I would recommend just doing it in the actual email itself. All right, now this has a file approval job of 1026. Your customers can have more than one file to approve. So this is the reason why we use the file approval for them to log into that specific job for them to approve, especially if you're going to have multiple file approvals on the same order. Okay. So in this case over here, it's ready to go. And now I'm going to click send. Okay. So what's going to happen here is this. I'm going to go over here to my phony email account, refresh this over here. And now I have an artwork approval required, okay, which is the one that I just sent. And when I open it up, it has the job for approval. This will have your company logo, okay, so this is my fake company, has my company logo over here, the job for approval plus my information down below. It's worth noting at this point that when you're using this kind of service, that if you choose to have an avatar of yourself within the program, again, it says it within the program that use something professional, okay? So you don't want to show pictures of your dog or your cat, because if you're showing a dog and you email this to a cat person, they may not like you. So in this case, just keep it professional. Whatever you're using for LinkedIn should pretty much be there. If you have custom headshots for your accounts, make sure that they're in there, or just remove them all together and you'll get an empty avatar, okay? So just to note that. All right, so now that the person has received this, they're going to click the job for approval, okay? And when they click this, they land on a landing screen to access the job. Again, your company logo is at the top. The job approval number is automatically put in here. Now they have to go ahead and they have to authenticate themselves. So I'm just going to add a fake name in here. Okay. And then I'll put in, I'll put in the fake email address that I was using. All right, and I'll just copy this in case I need it in the future. And then over here, I'm going to agree to the terms. And once I do that, I can log in. Okay. All right, so let's see what is coming up on screen here. Okay. So I have two files at the top. Let's get our bearings first of all. Okay, as we look at this, I have two files at the top over here. The first one I have is a PDF file, and the second one I have is a JPEG file. Okay. So in this case over here, what I'm seeing is file 1, okay? And I'll just do this here. What I'm seeing is file 1 and file 2. Here I see a 1 of 1. This is because it's a PDF and it knows how many pages are in the PDF. So there's only one page in one document, okay? Over here, it's a JPEG. This is just labeling it as page 2. Okay, JPEGs and GIFs and PNGs, they cannot have multi-page. They're only a single file, so they're separated like this. Down below is going to be a little clock in an orange area. This means that it's waiting instruction. Nothing has been done to this file at all, okay? So you have that here. Now, you'll also notice that there's a blue border around this file, and this means that the file that I'm looking at here is what's being displayed down below. Okay, so when I change files to go over here, one thing I want you to note is the following. When I clicked on this as the PDF, I have PDF annotation tools that you traditionally see in Acrobat. This is an Acrobat add-in. It is an Adobe add-in for this. So it is basically giving me all of the add-in options that I have when it comes to editing and so on and so forth. Okay, so if I have a customer that wants to draw things, mark stuff up and so on, they can go ahead and do this, have some questions. and so on. So you have all of the markup capabilities. Now, you do not have to have your customer use this, okay? It can be as simple as you're approving it or not, but depending on how advanced your customer is or the kind of relationship you are sending this to. For instance, if I'm sending this to a designer or somebody that has construction capabilities or whatnot, and they're used to doing this or they're expecting this kind of activity, then they can use this. If you're just sending this to an end user who's purchasing something from you and they just have to say yes or no, then they don't have to get into any of this. They don't have to do that, okay? So when they're done, what they can do is they can click save. These changes will now be saved to this particular document, okay? The document we revised. And so back in the Mothernode land, this document is being updated to reflect these particular changes. A couple of other things you can do with PDFs. You can see over here, we're going to come back to this more when we have multi-page ones, but you do have some, again, the traditional Acrobat components available to you here, okay? And so what I was showing you here, by the way, when I click on these and I load these, this loads relatively fast. It's in cache. This loads up here too. Again, the larger the file, the longer that process can take. So you want to make sure that you reduce that Acrobat file to make sure that those files are going to be optimally used and located. So let's take a look over here now at what we have off to the side. We've got the job number, and we've collapsed and hidden some of the information that's kind of irrelevant, but if you would like more information, you can expand. This is the note, by the way, that we put in here, right? So this is the information for the customer. Now, when I look at this order over here, I have the file graphic, the reference, and who it was prepared by and who it was sent to, et cetera. You can email David by clicking on this. Also, the file information, if they want to see how large the file is or what the file's name is, they can go ahead and they can download this. Okay, so if it has the adjustments made to it and such, everybody can download it from here. This is usually where the customer is going to be downloading the activity. And one thing to also note that when I'm on page 1 over here, you can see here down here, it says page 1. Okay, so I'm going to close these up here because I want to show you some other things. So it says page 1 here. When I click on page 2, okay, it's going to show that I'm actually looking at file number 2. Okay, so you'll see how this works with a multi-page environment. Okay. So in this case over here, it's showing page 1 of file 1, and over here it's showing file number 2. So back over here, when I load up a multi-page one, you'll see it's going to show page 3, page 4, page 5, et cetera. So you know exactly what it is that you're looking at within the document, but it's really, really easy. So let's take a look at some things here that we can do. We can ask a question, okay? So if we want to ask a question, say, is this what we spoke about? Okay, as an example, and I'll click submit. And now we have a timeline history of things that are taking place below, okay, that John Wick has asked a question, okay? Now, meanwhile, back at the ranch, what's happening over here is that these real-time updates are taking place, plus I would be getting emails that somebody had asked a question and so on, okay? So those are in your notifications. You can turn those on. I'll show you those in a few minutes. Actually, let's just get to it right now. Our notifications, if you're not familiar with them, well, you should be at this point with respect to being a Mothernode user. So in this case over here, if I go to my account, I go to notifications. There are notifications that were added, okay, that are down over here, but no, in here somewhere. Yeah, downloads file for approval. I have all of this turned on. So I'm getting my notifications within the system here. So a question has been asked. I can click on this, and I would have gotten an email, by the way. So there's an email that comes through. So I'm going to open up my Outlook so you can see the corresponding email. Okay. A question has been, that I haven't received this email yet. This is the PDF that's been updated, okay, on this. And so the question will come through soon. But going back over here, not wasting any time, we can see here that when I want to look at the approval, okay, it's taken me to the file section. This is the send log, okay, where it's taking me right to this file. And if I click view, it's going to take me back to here, and I have the activity that's been here, okay? And then I can see the activity here, and then if I want, I can post a response, okay? All right, I'll say post the message. If I wanted to, let me go back to this, I can pin it to the top, okay? So if I want to post a message, I can pin it to the top, so it'll be at the very top if it needs to be. But right now it is going to be at that. Okay. So let me go back over here to the file for approval, and I'm going to refresh this page just for the sake of getting it here. So now David has responded. So there's a conversation taking place within this particular job for approval. Okay, so we have that. All right, so the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to decline this, okay? And we have to provide a reason for declining it, okay? Not the right size, okay? So I'm going to decline it, and now it's been stamped as declined, okay? What you can do is that if a conversation has to take place and the person has gone ahead and declined it, and then they realize, oh, I made a mistake, they can come back and they can undo this, okay? So they can log back into the session after they've talked it through with you and realize, no, they're wrong. It is what we discussed. They realize, okay, yes, I want to go ahead and do that. Client's never wrong, I understand. But in this case, they just happened to be, and they made this mistake. And now what they're going to do is they're going to go ahead and they're going to approve it. And here they're going to approve, and then they're going to approve this one. And when they approve it, then it is now ready to be submitted. Okay. So now that I've got these two here, they're going to be ready to be submitted. And I'm going to send this to, again, this will be John Wick, who was responding. And I've copied and pasted that address, and now I'm going to hit submit approval. Okay, so great. So now whenever somebody on the customer end comes back to that job to log in, they won't see the login anymore. They will see the screen. There's nothing left or else they can do to this file. So here's what you'll see. You will see the audit log. Okay, this is what the customer would see. This is all of their decisions, all of the activity that has taken place on both of these files. And you can see this one has been approved. Everything that was done is here. Okay, now back over here to the, we're going to go over here to the order that we were in. Let me just go back to the actual order itself. I like to work from there. So in the order itself, we're going to go to 558. And what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to go back to the files. And here's what's really remarkable important, because this is where you're saving a lot of time on this side. Okay. These jobs have been approved. We can see here approved. Okay. And so if I want to open up the job, now when I open up the job, okay, I have the audit report in the job as well. Okay, so when I click on the audit report, it takes me back to the page that we were just at, and I see the exact same thing. So if there's any questions as to what was ever done with this particular job, these are the decisions that were made along the way. Everything has been accounted for. All right. Now, here's something else that's really nice that I can do is that over here, I can set these now as the shop drawings for the actual order, okay? So this one was going to be for line 2, and this one is going to be for line 4. So let's take a look at this, okay? I'm going to say set shop drawing, and over here, I'm going to say set shop drawing, okay? And so this, now the only important thing you need to know about this is that both of these documents, one is a PDF and one is a graphic. The PDF is a single page. Just note that if you're going to be setting multi-page documents as a shop drawing, all those pages will be included. All right. So that's really important, that if you have a job that you're setting to be approved that has all the line items in one PDF, then that's not going to be the ideal shop drawing to set. In this case, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's going to work out fine. Okay. So I'm going to cancel this here. And what have we done? So we're going to go over here to the order entry screen. And now when I look at the construction details for this one here, you can see the PDF has been set as the shop drawing. Okay, so I have the design that's been put here for the PDF. The second one is going to be over here. We said line item 2. It also has construction details. So this is a JPEG. The other one's a PDF. Both work. Just remember, from a quality perspective, you're going to want to have a high-res JPEG if you're showing any dimensions, things like that, because if they're small graphics, they'll get blurry and fuzzy. What else does this mean? That means that when I go over here and I print the production documents for this particular order and I include shop drawings, then now the drawings that they have approved, these ones don't have, but this one over here does. Okay, you can see it's a crisp JPEG. Okay, those drawings are now part of the production documents that are available. Okay, so very, very nice. You have all of this available to you. You can see that I was coasting through this, explaining things along the way, but it's a very, very fast process. I've seen some people already using this, and their approval times have been less than 10 minutes. There's been a couple of people in the US that took to this right away and started practicing, and they started using this with customers, and their approval times were cut dramatically, being underneath 10 minutes. So just remember, the faster you get something to be approved, the faster you're getting it fabricated, and the faster you're getting it invoiced. So this is a great, great component to this. All right, we're running over time. I do want to show you just one last thing, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but I want to show you a multi-page PDF so you understand the difference in this case, okay? So over here in my files, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a multi-page PDF that I have, okay? This has been, we're going to create this for approval very quickly, and I'm going to do this. And now it was that easy. I had the files there already. I just hit create. It makes a job number for me. It's good to go. Now I get to show you the preview button, because this is what you as the account manager or the project manager can see without having to log in. If you just click preview, it takes you right into the customer's experience, okay? So it loads up this without having to log in, all right? So this is what the customer would see. So you can get your affairs in order before you present anything to the customer and see exactly what they're going to see. So let's take a look at the difference up here, all right? You can see here that now I have the same single file that I had before, which is the 1 of 1 that hasn't been approved. And now I have the file number 2, page 1, page 2, page 3, okay? And again, now when I click on this, you'll see that I am showing page 1 over here of file number 2, page 1, file number 2, page 2, and so on, okay? Another thing that's actually handy is that now, because I have multiple pages over here, I can actually use this. And if I want to start seeing, 2 pages up, I can see everything I need here if I'd like to. Again, this is going to be more of a user preference. If they want to get into this, looking at these sort of things might be good for the PM or the account manager to look at this and say, okay, it's easier for me to see everything now. I've got everything in place. It all looks the way I want it to be. I'm good to go. I think in most cases, we're seeing that the customer is just going to be using this information off to the side, okay? Another thing to note over here, when I start with page 1 and I go ahead and approve, when I click approve, all right, it approves this, and then now it logs it down here. I go over here to page 2. Hold on, I like to go back over here to my single page view. By the way, you can also scroll here as well. And when you scroll, as you're scrolling, you can see the page boxes change. Watch up here. If I scroll like this down, then I scroll further down and it goes to the next page and so on and so forth. And then once I've approved this, I'll go here as an example. I'll click approve. All right. It's been approved. Now you can see it just jumped to the next page. Okay. Because this one was approved, just jumped to the next page automatically. And I click approve and I'm all good to go. So in this case, again, you can decline some that are in the document and approve everything else. Hopefully, for your sake, all your affairs are in order and everything gets approved. And once you've done that, obviously, if you make a mistake, you can undo anything. But at this point now, we can see we can submit for approval, and this has been done. And once again, who was I? John Wick. Save the last name, put that in here, and then click submit. And now you're good. And so this person has now submitted this, and they're all in good order. So you have that here. So all of this here now, I'm just going to refresh the tab just by clicking on it, and you'll see here now that these have all been approved. Okay. You can find all of your jobs in one single place, which is going to be in the send log. Okay. So if you want to look at where your jobs are and you don't want to have to go from order to order to order, just filter on the job approval type, click on filter, and then it'll show you all your job approvals. And then when you click on any one of them, you can click on view. And of course, you get all of the activity and the audit report that takes place. Okay. So with that being said, we are way past our time. We're almost 20 minutes to the hour. And I know that a lot of people have some things going on. I would recommend that if you have any questions, sit amongst your teams. If you're in a group and you're talking, sit amongst your teams. You can sort of sound off some of those questions. send them to us at info@mothernode.com. This recording will be available to you. You should receive it in your email either later today or tomorrow. And you can share those and look back at those again. If you have any questions, of course, you can call us or email us. And we're happy to present this to you. We hope that this makes a huge difference within your workflow and for your customer experience. Thank you very much, wherever you are, from tuning in today and spending some time with us. We appreciate you working with us on this, and we look forward to see what you do with it. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.